Going to the gym can be discouraging, especially if you're putting in the work but barely seeing changes. But with Tonal, you can actually see your progress with every workout. Tonal provides the convenience of a full gym and the expertise of a personal trainer anytime at home with one sleek system. Designed to reduce your mental load, Tonal is the ultimate strength training system, helping you focus less on workout planning and more on getting results. No more second-guessing your technique. Tonal gives you real-time coaching cues to dial in your form and help you lift safely and effectively. After a quick assessment, Tonal sets the optimal weight for every move and adjusts in 1-pound increments as you get stronger, so you're always challenged. Tonal lets you choose from a variety of expert-led workouts, from strength to aero hit to yoga and mobility, to keep you coming back for more. For a limited time, go to Tonal.com to get $500 off your Tonal purchase, plus a free 4-year warranty. That's Tonal.com for $500 off, plus a free 4-year warranty. Tonal.com.
Tea nourishes and inspires. It is an ancient plant-based medicine that heals and energizes the body while it soothes the mind. Transforming the leaf requires a fusion of artistry, craftsmanship, and commerce. The tea trade is fundamentally local, yet exerts a global influence, generating $260 billion in sales and employing millions to enhance the well-being of all. Hello, everyone. Here are this week's headlines. Last week's International Tea Day was a glorious global celebration. Japanese tea exports are surging amid tariff wars, and the Lipton Rebrand reveals new logo and debuts 2 blends. Plus, Tea, the Drink That Changed the World, is a cinematic documentary filmed in stunning 4K deep within China's sacred Wuyi Mountains, the ancient birthplace of oolong and black teas. 7 years in the making, this 90-minute film captures exclusive footage of master artisans practicing century-old traditions, including rare access to the legendary Dahong Pao Mother Tea Temple and authentic Gong Fu Cha ceremonies. Now streaming on Amazon Prime, the documentary reveals tea's transformation from mystical elixir to global phenomena. Director Christy Hui joins us to explore the profound cultural impact and commercial evolution of tea. Born in Guangzhou, Christy reveals how this sacred beverage became humanity's connector, fueling conversations, inspiring creativity, and driving a $260 billion global industry that continues to shape civilizations worldwide. More in a minute, but first, this important message.
What happens when businesses along the tea supply chain get together and support women and children in tea communities? The mother and child-friendly seal for responsible business is creating long-term positive impacts, making your cup of Ceylon tea all the sweeter. Learn more at srilanka-motherandchildseal.org.
International Tea Day has evolved splendidly in the past 5 years. Champions of the multinational celebration are justifiably proud of the many meaningful gatherings since May 21, 2020, when the Food and Agricultural Organization began hosting the event. This year's sessions highlighted the pivotal role of women in tea production and distribution, with a reminder that gender equality remains elusive in many tea-growing regions. FAO Director General Ku Dan-yu, speaking in Rome, emphasized that tea is far more than a beverage. For millions of people around the world, it is a lifeline. Quote, more than 60% of the world's tea is produced by smallholders, many of whom are women and young people, and often in some of the world's most vulnerable places, the Director General said. Income from the tea sector is vital to ensuring food security, supporting rural economies, and strengthening resilience to shocks, he added. He made remarks at the high-level event held at FAO headquarters under the theme, quote, Tea for Better Lives, end quote. This theme explores how tea can serve as a valuable tool that enhances the lives of millions of people, From farmers to factory workers, traders to consumers, tea contributes to better livelihoods, stronger communities, and healthier lifestyles. Farmed with Care is a thoughtful 3-minute video produced by FAO depicting, quote, the tea pluckers, farmers, and countless men and women at the core of the tea value chain. Now, more than ever, we must explore the connection between consumption and origin, spotlighting the vital role that tea workers play not only in producing tea, but in preserving the landscape where it is grown. See Farmed with Care on YouTube. The Rome event featured a tea tasting experience and markets and trade talks where participants shared insights about their tea heritage and traditions. Meanwhile, at the United Nations in New York, India's permanent mission to the UN organized a special event titled Chai Pe Charcha to emphasize tea's role in economic empowerment and sustainable development. The event highlighted India's prominence in the global tea industry. India has engaged in commendable efforts to appeal to young tea drinkers. In Canada, Tea and Herbal Association President Shabnam Weber hosted a live-stream SOFA Summit to connect 20 tea luminaries, thought leaders, and stakeholders representing 12 countries. In the UK, activities included tastings, talks, workshops, and many afternoon teas at hotels and restaurants that have adapted the tea selections and dainties to appeal to younger generations. Check out a complete list of events online using the hashtags TeaDay25 and International Tea Day. Business Insight. Let's connect. The Directory of Tea Super Connectors was created to facilitate collaborations on tea projects such as International Tea Day. Super connectors are individuals who excel at connecting people and resources, building extensive networks of relationships. They are known for their ability to remember the names, details, and passions of those in their network, and they actively seek ways to connect others, even if there is no immediate benefit to themselves. Visit tea-biz.com to get listed. There's no charge. Tea-Biz correspondent Mayanbar Vadraj filed this report on Japan exports, which are surging during the tariff wars. High tariffs on Chinese tea exported to the U.S., along with the threat of retaliatory tariffs in other markets, including the European Union, are prompting importers to seek alternative suppliers. Japan, renowned for its consistently high-quality traceable tea, is a natural substitute, especially in premium green tea segments such as matcha, gaokuro, and sencha. In March 2025, Japan exported tea worth 4.2 billion Japanese yen to 70 countries, a 34% increase from the previous year, according to the Japan Tea Export Promotion Council. The volume reached 982 metric tons, representing a 16.3% increase. Estonia paid the highest unit price at $140 per kilogram, while Taiwan paid the lowest at an average $9 per kilogram. Japanese tea exports to the U.S. increased to 12.3 million in March, an 18% rise from the previous year. The volume was 288,000 kilos. Tea exports sold at an average of $42.50 per kilogram. Powdered tea exports grew by 26.5% in value and 16.3% in volume. Exports to the EU reached 700 million Japanese yen, a 36% increase from the previous year. Japan's economic partnership agreements with the EU, UK, and CPTPP provide access to zero or low tariffs, a competitive advantage as the suppliers are priced out. Japan's green tea exports, led by matcha, have tripled over the past decade, reaching a record 185 million in 2023. Shipments of tea leaf remain consistent with the previous year's volume, which comes at the expense of the domestic supply, where demand has not kept pace. There are persistent concerns that the tariff hike will decrease demand in the U.S. Some believe it will be a tailwind as more people switch from Chinese tea, which is subject to higher tariffs. Japanese tea exports to the U.S. will be subject to a 24% retaliatory tariff unless a new trade agreement is reached before July 9th. The tariff comprises a 10% universal import tariff applied to all countries and an additional 14% country-specific reciprocal tariff specifically targeting Japan. The export value of Japanese tea from prefecture-based tea companies has steadily increased in recent years. The United States has become a significant export destination, accounting for nearly half of all exports by volume. Sujimoto Saisha, located in Nishimata City, Shizuoka Prefecture, earns nearly 40% of its revenue from U.S. importers. According to President Masaki Sujimoto, orders for matcha have been booming since last year. Coupled with the increase in tariffs on Chinese products, he hopes that orders to Japan from American importers will increase even further. Yoshiaki Kobayashi, who grows organic tea for matcha in Fushida in Shizuoka Prefecture, said, quote, "We've heard from American customers through our distributors that they want to continue their business with us, even if tariffs are increased," end quote. Yoshidi Oshino, president of Shizuoka Japanese tea market, where the first auction for the season's new teas took place on April 18th, also concluded, quote, "There may be some impact from the tariff hike, but high-quality tea that people can't find a replacement for will sell," end quote. With global trade disrupted by tariffs, sanctions, and diplomatic tensions, Japan is viewed as a stable, rules-based trading partner, thereby enhancing its appeal in Western markets. Lipton unveiled a comprehensive line refresh for International Tea Day featuring updated packaging, a new slogan, "We Choose Tea," and 2 new blends. The familiar red badge returns to all-caps lettering on a darker yellow background, displaying the company's founding in 1890. In an online release, the company announced new English breakfast and Earl Grey blends, as well as plans to roll out a line of fruit and cold herbal teas this summer, along with additional varieties of low-sugar and zero-sugar iced tea powders. Raquel Harris Mason, president of Lipton Teas and Infusions, discussed the drivers behind the new items and the overall rebranding initiatives in a feature article in Progressive Grocer magazine. Quote, "I think today's consumer wants more choices that are delicious and healthy. They aren't interested in sacrificing taste for health. They want them both, and they want novelty," she said. Consumers prefer a combination of tried-and-true ingredients they trust, with something that makes it different and interesting, she explains. Whether it's a type of tea that helps them sleep better or another that's refreshing on a hot day, we know it's important to participate in both the premium and mainstream segments, she said. Quote, "We are focused on tea with multiple brands. We don't have to pick between them, and we want to be more accessible," said Mason. The packaging is less cluttered and no longer displays the American Heart Association seal and testimonial. The company is considering adding a healthy claim to its packaging to capitalize on the FDA's new rule, which automatically qualifies tea products with fewer than 5 calories per serving and no added caffeine. Business Insight. Package designers noted the return of all caps to the Lipton name. The redesign, quote, "radiates positivity and comfort," end quote, and features a, quote, "touch of nature," end quote, according to Packaging Digest. Primary and secondary packaging was updated, including cases, canisters, retail boxes, envelopes, and even tea tags. Lipton senior brand manager Elisa Geller said the design works in both horizontal and vertical orientations. She explains that vertical facings are becoming increasingly common due to tighter shelf space, varied shelf formats, and diverse store layouts. The vertical panel, quote, "ensures the product remains recognizable, consistent, and shoppable, no matter how it's stacked," she said. And now, a word from this week's sponsor.
Hello, I'm Bogdan, a passionate tea drinker and the inventor of the ultimate tea machine, the Brew Maker One. Preparation is key to making fine tea. Sequential steepings deliver the best taste possible and unlock the true value of whole leaf teas and botanicals. Brew automates that process without using any pots or capsules. This simple-to-operate, smartphone-controlled device stores steeping profiles to consistently make great tea at the push of a button. Brew also reduces time, waste, and energy. That's because I engineered the brew to remember control settings for temperature, brewing time, and quantity. Using my patented process lets you stack steep simply and conveniently.
Tea, the Drink That Changed the World, is a cinematic documentary filmed in stunning 4K deep within China's sacred Wuyi Mountains, the ancient birthplace of oolong and black teas. 7 years in the making, this 90-minute film captures exclusive footage of master artisans practicing century-old traditions, including rare access to the legendary Dahong Pao Mother Tea Temple and authentic Gong Fu Cha ceremonies. Now streaming on Amazon Prime, the documentary reveals tea's transformation from mystical elixir to global phenomena. Director Christy Hui joins us to explore the profound cultural impact and commercial evolution of tea. Born in Guangzhou, Christy reveals how this sacred beverage became humanity's connector, fueling conversations, inspiring creativity, and driving a $260 billion global industry that continues to shape civilizations worldwide. Christy Hui is a serial entrepreneur and CEO and founder of ActionFliks Media. She's known for creating the Emmy-winning Shaolin Showdown franchise with Warner Brothers and Shaolin Chronicles on Netflix, now streaming on Amazon. A creative business executive, she specializes in transforming innovative concepts into global entertainment franchises that span games, toys, and consumer products. An award-winning content creator, Christy earned her EMBA from USC Marshall School of Business and enjoys collaborating with creative teams and corporate partners to produce global content, including Emmys, Telly Awards, and W3 Awards. Your film beautifully captures the long-practiced expertise of the Wuyi artisans who produce black and oolong teas widely consumed in the West. You can't help but see that the lives of the people you profile and the life in the leaf blend in such harmony that those who drink these teas are enriched. The film presents tea making in rich detail and more authentically than I expected.
Thank you, Dan. It is such a mystical project, Dan, that how it came about. If I were to tell you some of the remarkable stuff that was happening and that how it happened, how the entire movie came together, it is nothing short of a miracle. And from the makings of to how it stumbled upon on my lap and my own journey as both a person, a tea drinker, and a professional, all those forces kind of collided in a perfect scenario to enable me to do this tea movie. What does it take? I jokingly say that you kind of have to be the Columbo, a detective, but knowing both the Western culture innately, like I am, and also fluently, and also knowing the Chinese culture with a passion and love and a background of all the dynasties and the love for tea and a love for history. If I did not have the love for history, it wouldn't have come out the way it is. And I would have given up because this whole tea movie was supposedly a 30-minute film.
And then it turned into 90.
I thought it was going to be 6 months because I knew tea turned into 90 because when I was in the midst of it, like I said, this is a 7-year project from inception to distribution. It's 7 years. And in the makings of it took 5 years. 5 years. I was just looking at the rough cuts. COVID both hurt us and helps us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When we finally finish this cut, and you would appreciate this, it is timeline number 81, rounds of addition. Why don't we just go and finish it? Why don't we just turn it in? As a lifelong tea drinker and someone who loves tea, I think that I would not be doing teas justice if I didn't completely tell the story. And I often use her because Camellias sinensis, I felt like there's a kindred spirit. I aspire to be like a tea plant because it's humble, it's noble, like I said on the film, and it's spiritual. I speak Chinese fluently. I was raised in China, born in China. I thought I know the tea story. I did not know the tea story. The tea history was so muddled. The perfect scenario is for me to share with the world the glorious history of tea, and that this drink is more than a drink. It's the melting, the infusion of the divine universe between the plant world and the human spirit. And that's what I call the tea spirit. It is beyond a drink because when I walked into this project, it was just a drink. I talk about, the terroir. I've been drinking tea at Oolong, fallen in love with Oolong. And it's about the terroir. It's about the health benefits of it and how it cleanses the oil from your body and kind of help you get rid of the fat and all that fun stuff. And Oolong, for tea now, it's helping you lower cholesterol, all these wonderful things. But I never knew that what is beyond what we know, the physicality of tea, the philosophy, the living philosophy, the spirit. This has been a long journey. Like I said, it was 7 years just to make this film, to come to the understanding, and it humbles me.
Your heartfelt response, Christy, aligns with the film's tone. Following the pandemic, we observed a significant increase in at-home consumption, a growing appreciation for the calming ritual in stressful times, and a recognition of the importance of brewing temperature as well as the health benefits of loose-leaf tea. Your documentary showcases the traditional preparations that artisans use to enhance that enjoyment, encouraging consumers globally to refine their taste in tea. Europe and North America might appreciate tea because it tastes a certain way, but I don't think they have the discipline to dig in to discover why it tastes the way it does by exploring what's unique about the pine trees used to smoke lapsang and the unique qualities of the dolomite waters of Wuishan. Artisan tea makers can teach us these things. Those of us who have seen the documentary say this feels authentic. Drone shots, not CGI, gestures and processing techniques are natural, and dialogues not rehearsed.
You were right, but everything has yin and yang. And with the technology, a lot of things get detached, including our own spirits and our own way of life, and the way we look at things, the way we treat each other, the relationship with ourselves, with the way we work, with the way we talk, we collaborate. So I think this is why sometimes when I showed this film in China, they were absolutely gluing onto the TV because I would tell you one thing really, really surprising, Dan. In China, they know their own Zen ritual, the beginning of it, blah, 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 but they did not even know how spiritual it was, the beginning, because it's just like in France, tea, wine, the monks made wine first inside the monastery. That's how it was the spiritual path, and it was the work that It's God-given work, right? So you have that. And that's why I often said that there's a parallel between that and tea. Tea in China grew out of the monastery. It was the monks' drink because they had to stay awake. And so in order to make tea, and it was a spiritual journey, that you have to put your best, your essence into it. Just like the French monks made their wine, they had to put their essence into it. There's no shortcut. There's absolutely no shortcut. There's no AI. There's nothing. There's no social media. There's no influencers. There's just you and this plant. So when you put that into that truest essence of what it is, it becomes what it is, which is imbued with holy, your spirituality between the melting of two spirits form, the plant and the human. That's why I was so touched. I almost was near tears when old daddy, the 11th generation Oolong tea master, said this line to me, that it was good people make good tea. It was like, whoa. He summarized it so beautifully. It couldn't have been written in a script. I mean, I'm a script writer. It couldn't have been spoken in a more truest form.
That's the authenticity I'm talking about. There's a message in your documentary that it's handmade.
I love this scene that when I said, "Oh, Daddy, pretend the camera's not here." Because I wanted to capture the traditional method of you making tea, not the manufacturing line, not the assembly line. And there are plenty. And I saw that too. And to me, that wasn't what's interesting and what's captivating. I want to get down to the essence, the roots of tea, and to the beginning of how it became. And so I decided to capture the traditional aspect of tea making. And that's why I was so delighted when you had never seen a scene like that in any tea making movie.
When you read the history of tea, there are tales of espionage, naval warfare, and other complications such as the Boston Tea Party. Tea changed the world in less obvious ways as well. Will you talk about the mercantile aspects of tea, such as how the porcelain teacup influenced perceptions of China and tea globally?
The Chinese people are tradesmen. They are very savvy business people. They respond to the market demand really, really quickly, very entrepreneurial, especially back in the 1700s when you are having the Canton, Guangzhou ports as the only ports that's open to the Westerners. So I'm a Canton girl. I came from Guangzhou. So this is where the China trade, the only city really back then that was open to the Western trade. So the Cantonese people actually are very savvy merchants. As I said in the documentary in the beginning, the Chinese only like to have very refined tea, tea that is not black in color or muddy in color. They want clear, golden elixir color. And so, so that's what's popular in China. And so all of a sudden you have this accidental tea that's been smoked by the pine. And they're like, oh, we don't like to drink it. The Chinese, ooh, this is bad stuff. Let's ship it out. Well, then voila, it became a giant hit. I mean, that was what the Western palate was welcoming. Well, also, I would often say that had they have Instagram back then, the digital media to share what's good tea, then possibly the West would want to have good tea too. But and I think that's the beauty of tea, is that everyone's taste is so different, right? And so that tea made it out to the world, and it started, we can add milk to it. And timing is everything, as you and I both know. So they can add milk, right? And then they can add sugar later on. But that's what it is, that The Chinese never had the habit of drinking tea with milk. So therefore, to our palate, the lighter the tea, those clear tea, it fits our lifestyle and our entire dietary makeup. Whereas you over there, you have milk. And so all of a sudden things and then so like I said in the documentary, well, the merchants in Wuyishan responded. They're like, oh, wow, look at the Dutch came in and they want black tea. Well, all of a sudden, everybody who makes oolong tea, which is a lot more complicated to make, right? Those are the most complicated tea to make and make well oolong tea. 14 different interlocking steps that you cannot miss one step. And just like old daddy had to do this firing, kneading and all those kind of things. And everybody kind of changed. And so a lot of tea masters and tea houses started to make black tea, which is a lot easier to make for them. Well, so all of a sudden you have that exporting. Now about teapots and tea things. And then when these tea things come out to China, and you're right about all the European families, when those who have the wherewithal would go and say, I want the finest, tea things. Even our own very president, George Washington, had to have his own tea sets, right? Because he has to. And so we actually have the invoice that George Washington paid for that Cantonese blue and white set in his library, because every bachelor has to have that. That is symbol that you desire. European porcelain industry has not reached the height where it could withstand boiling water. And so therefore, they did not have the type of teaware to actually brew tea the way that it's supposed to be brewed.
Postscript. Behind the scenes with Christy Hui.
I went back to China 5 times to film. And every time I went back there, and because I came back and I thought I have everything, and then I did more research and said, oh, I missed this and this. In Wuyishan, drone shots were prohibited. I went into the forbidden region, that where Mr. Zhang talked about Lapsang Shushong and how it was created, how his family and the entire smoke room that we went in to film never happened before. No Westerner. I, as an American, am not even permitted to go in. I mean, there's so many things behind the scenes, all the tickets and all these wonderful events we can do to literally walk viewers through some of the marvelous happenings around the film that you're like, truly, this is a miracle. The fact that it came out the way it is, it's a miracle in and of itself.
Now streaming on Amazon Prime and available on Tubi, the documentary is well deserving of global exposure. Intrigued by what you heard in today's podcast? Would you like to learn more from our global network of Tea-Biz journalists and tea experts? Remember to visit the Tea-Biz website for more comprehensive coverage. That's www.t-biz.com. Thanks for listening. Farewell till next week.
If you're looking for legit ways to make extra money, you've got to check out The Side Hustle Show. With hundreds of actionable episodes to choose from, you'll learn what's working now from real people making real money, like the Utah mom who built a 6-figure business playing video games, or the guy earning $3,000 a month renting out mobility scooters. Online or offline, from Amazon to your own hometown, from YouTube to vending machines, The Side Hustle Show has you and your wallet covered. Subscribe to The Side Hustle Show wherever you're listening to this podcast and increase your earning power today.
Produced by Audavita Studios. Connect your voice to the world.